Hello and welcome to Money Control Innovation Next, presented by Google Cloud. I'm your host, Gautam Srinivasan, and the topic of our discussion today is Industry 4.0 and where we are headed. Now, to set the context, the success of India's manufacturing sector is seen as crucial in the country's economic revival after battling the effects of the pandemic. Now, NASSCOM states that the globally connected smart factories will enable India's manufacturing sector to become an intelligent industry and achieve the national growth target of $1.1 trillion by FY26. Now, in the same report, NASSCOM also adds that Industry 4.0 is at an inflection point in manufacturing and points to an urgent need to increase investments in the next 2 years and drive a rapid shift from proof of concept to a more ROI driven, outcome based deployment. So, the big question: how can Indian enterprises truly unlock the potential of this fourth industrial revolution to position the country as a global manufacturing hub? Let's get a glimpse of the solutions and deployments at work with our elite panel of leaders who have joined in to share their insights and experiences. Our lineup features Anil Gupta, Chairman and Managing Director of leading wires and cables manufacturers KEI Industries; Sanjeev Agrawal, who's the Chief Manufacturing Officer at electronics major Lava International; Arun Atri, CIO at cement producer Wonder Cement; Ashok Kannan, President of IT at Syntex Industries; Sandeep Kothari, Senior VP at Orient Cement, who looks after supply chain management; and KL Narayanan, Head of the Manufacturing Business at Google Cloud. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this conversation, and I'm looking forward to hearing all of your insights and, of course, lessons and stories from the trenches. So let's get the broad strokes first. KL, let me come to you. As the world looks to diversify its supply chains, digital manufacturing is seen as key to making India the world's factory, as I stated earlier. Now, as pent-up consumer demand that comes rushing back in the post-pandemic world, how can a smart manufacturing ecosystem of a connected factory, smart products, connected consumer, and digital workplace enable India to capitalize on this growth opportunity?
Thank you. I hope I can get me heard well. So technology and cloud play a very big role in the across the whole of manufacturing, especially the value chain which is there. Now, large trends what we're seeing is all manufacturers are today seeing what the customers want, and it starts from the customer experience and what they want, and from there it goes back into their plans, thinking about how the supply chain is going to be managed. And this is where the digital technologies, the cloud plays a very important role, where the customers understand the customers what their customers want, the manufacturing customers want, and then they pick up from those threads to understand the complete forecasting to what the demand and supply thing will be, which will be completely digitized. And all of this is actually done from, I'll just bring the three perspectives of how our customers are talking to us and looking at it. So one is their operational data, which is sitting within their own internal systems like warehouse management, transport management, and their SAPs. A large customers use SAP as their ERPs, or Oracle as such as well. And once that's there, they also like to look at the other community information which comes from their partners and other suppliers and stuff. And then there's a third party, which is the public information, which comes from a lot of other impacting things like weather, routes, customer segmentation, populations density, and everything, which is what is driving a lot of information which our manufacturing customers are today taking in terms of reaching out to their customers. So the AI driven models of how we do the intelligent AIs which Google Cloud builds is allowing our customers, and when we actually port with our overall Google solutions around our maps and other areas of assets, that makes it more intelligent for our customers to look at the overall data to take more intelligent decisions to reach to their customers better.
Absolutely. And of course, in today's times, the focus is not on the technology that you use. The focus is on the outcome that that technology produces. So good to get some insights on what customer conversations are happening, especially around this topic of smart manufacturing. Let's see what the guiding principles are, though, especially from the top, and how it flows across the enterprise. Anil, let me bring you in for this. What, according to you, from the position of leadership, should be the guiding principles of connecting the manufacturing enterprise to leverage the benefits of a multi cloud deployment for, say, accelerated app development or enhanced collaboration between management and the factory floor, and of course, migration to the cloud to optimize performance and costs, which importantly saves factory floor space. Your thoughts?
See, today everything is going now data driven. In the manufacturing, each and every step, each and every process is entered into a computer system. Say for a ERP, which is used in the factories now for the smart manufacturing. So that data is now goes to the next process and the next process. So in the chain, everybody is aware about what is happening in the previous process and then what is happening in the next process. Then secondly, it is the head of the manufacturing is able to monitor the productivity, speeds, and any breakdown taking place in the machines, or um, any other location, any disruption due to supply chain, feeding the machines, or manpower issues. So these are my thoughts that the more is the data driven and more we are electronically connected in the factories, the
Hmm.
processes, that will help understand the management team at the head level to monitor and control the productivity and the quality as well.
Absolutely. It helps you understand the business better, especially from a leadership perspective, when you have a sort of single source of truth for what is happening across your enterprise. And of course, it affects everything from productivity to throughput. Let's get a use case in to understand how this works. Arun, let me bring you in. How can an ecosystem of connected devices, products, and solutions help enterprises in the Indian manufacturing sector drive revenue growth, operational excellence, and innovation across their value chain? Let me bring in an example. I read that Wonder Cement cut in plant logistics time by half by automating processes with the help of IoT. So, taking that cue, tell us more about it, and also your views on maybe the role of technology providers like Google and how it can play a connective tissue between operational tech and IT for your enterprise.
Yeah, see, it's not only for the Indian manufacturing industry, but I would say, globally, this is something which is very very important aspect for any manufacturing industry. See, overall ecosystem for the entire technology landscape is something uh, considering customer side, the supplier side, and then the manufacturing side of it. It's very important that the whole ecosystem has to be planned in a way wherein every device, every application, whatever you put in that whole landscape has to be social, as a in nature, as a core of this, so that they can seamlessly talk to them. So nowadays, since we are into the quite new into the manufacturing sites, our plants are very 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 new technology or machinery. So for us, there is no legacy. It's all machines are coming with the technology interface, the data, and it is a lot of data getting generated. I agree with Mr. Anil. It is the data driven approach which is important for any organization. But the whole lot of data, whole lot of devices, applications are there. The first and foremost thing is the foundation of that. You have to be very sure that's very strong, so that it can take care of the end-to-end landscape of that, and that is something the cloud comes into picture. Because with the traditional approach of having data center at in on-prem and all will not help. So for us also, the first move which we did 5 years back, we as a first in the cement industry, we moved to the cloud 100%. So we don't have any on-prem data. So coming to the specific use case, what you talked about, Gautam, is the in-plant logistics. So for us, the inward and outward traffic to the plants is huge on every day. No, it's more than 600 trucks which keep coming to plant and going out. So it is very important to give the clear visibility, everybody involved into the end-to-end supply chain, that what is the order book available for the day, what is dispatch plan, how many vehicles are available, if not available, which vehicles are coming back to the plant, so that you can very well plan the queue in the packing plant for loading and all. So what we did, we deployed end-to-end automated system wherein all our transporters ecosystem are there on the platform. All our customers are there on the platform. All our logistic teams there on the platform. All our packing plant team on the platform. And the moment order list is there and the transporter has to commit a truck, he knows that whether the truck is on the way coming back, because it has got that GPS device, and he can commit that I can make this truck available for 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, so that the entire planning for the loading cycle can be done very well. And the moment that vehicle come to the plant and reach to gate, the sensors automatically read that, and the trip gets generated. And from there onward, going into the yard, there's a huge display, and the announcement system tells that truck driver that what is your waiting time in the yard, so that if he's coming from the long journey, he can take rest, he can be freshen up, rather than all the time he's following up with the people when my turn is. So once his turn come, automatically announcement happens, he goes to the gate, the entire process is manless. He go to the weighbridge, the weighment happen, then he's guided throughout throughout the travel track, that which loading bay he has to get into, because there are a lot of loading bays which where the vehicles get loaded. If there are 2 loading bays, then the queue is it is informed to him, first you have to go loading bay number 6, and thereafter you have to take the second load and go to loading bay number 8 or 9 or whatever it is. And this entire piece, after doing this manless, the overall time got down by 57% to be precise. Vehicle coming into plant, loading it and going back. And it's a huge benefit for not only for us, for reducing the lead time towards the customer, but for our transporters also, because in all these vehicles are heavily financed, right? So the TAT improvement which has happened, so turnaround time was very much improved, and the overall number of trips increased per month for every transporter, which they very well appreciated. Let's say, just hypothetical example, if some vehicle was doing 4 trips in a month, some depending upon the route, somebody was started doing 6 trips, 6.5 trip, or 7 trip, like that. So this is the whole value chain we managed to the IoT and automation in the plant, which was a big win for us. And we extended this even to the customer delivery, wherein we were the first cement industry who started the electronic proof of delivery. It is delivered to the customer, he has to give the sign on the LR, and then LR come to the to finance team. It used to take 30-40 days, and then payment happened to the transporters. Nowadays it is totally electronic POD. The moment it reached there to OTP, he confirm, I received the material. Within 3 to 4 days, we make the payment to the transporters, because we know, the system knows that it is delivery is done. So the whole ecosystem we manage as far as logistics, because logistics is a very complex and a painful area when it comes to cement, because number of vehicles movement is very high, and then the railway is also involved. So this is something which we did in about what, 6.5 years back, and successfully running in all our plants.
All right, that's a fantastic example that you've shared, Arun. It's a transformation of the entire value chain, and that results in happy employees, happy suppliers and vendors, and of course happy customers. So a fantastic example of using the power of technology and the cloud to make sure that you are a better version, or your enterprise is a better version of itself. But when we discuss these topics, there's also challenges that we need to address, and we need to find out what are the gaps first. So Sanjeev, let me bring you in. According to you, where are the technology gaps currently which need to be resolved for India to capitalize on a manufacturing growth opportunity, where a lot of pent up consumer demand could rush back in the post pandemic world, as I mentioned to you?
Yeah, thank you. So, what I believe, if we talk about gaps, so if we talk about gaps in implementing the smart manufacturing, so first challenge which I foresee is the mindset, because like before technology, first challenge is mindset, because and mindset from the top management, because our conventional manufacturing, we keep on thinking that if we do digitization, it will require a lot of resources, you will have to spend a lot of money, but many industries, they fail to understand the benefits, that whatever resources you will put into the use, what will be the benefits of that. So that mindset change is required within the organizations, and the organizations which have broken that barrier, so they are very well able to do smart manufacturing and take the benefits out of that. Now, coming to the resources, like what kind of resources are required and how to plan and what are the challenges. So, as we see that there are different tier level of manufacturing companies, like one company which is doing the finished product, and the other companies are the suppliers to those companies. So, as I see, as of now, many tier one companies are able to do smart manufacturing and starting implementing and using the technology to improve their efficiencies. But still, at the other tiers, down tiers, still there is lack. So what I see is, first is because we have uh, old technology equipments which work on individual computers, and many of them are semi-automatic in nature. So first thing is to have a real study of that how we can improve our efficiencies, and what will be the cost benefit analysis of using those technologies, and then finding out some tools like IoTs and some other interfaces with whom we can even transform our old machines, or the machines which are computerized but not digital, so that we can integrate them together, and then we can form a whole network. And the big opportunity which I see of using this is that, as you know, any typical manufacturing plant, there are three pillars: quality, cost, and delivery. And with the advantages which are there of using the technology like cloud or IoTs, so what I see is there is a big benefit which we can achieve in terms of quality, cost, and delivery. So, according to me and according to my understanding and whatever I have experienced, so first is the mindset barrier. If we break that and we start working on the cost benefit analysis, then definitely investing into the technology will be always beneficial for the industry, and it will make manufacturing more agile, more cost efficient. Thank you.
All right, that's some great insight share there. Of course, the change in mindset is going to be key here, and of course, and for a lot of the enterprises, it's that bridging from legacy to modern systems and how they go about it and approach the context of outcomes, why they use technology and how it can benefit their entire ecosystem. That's going to be crucial. But getting back to that aspect of supply chains, Sandeep, let me bring you in. You're the expert on that. What are the best practices for assessing supply chain readiness, especially to internal shocks in the market and external shocks in the economy, so that, say, manufacturing organizations can withstand disruptions more effectively, they can reduce the risk of financial loss and preserve the company's image, more importantly, in front of, say, both suppliers and customers. I mean, the pandemic was a big lesson for everyone. So what are the lessons that you would share, especially in terms of supply chain readiness?
Uh, Thank you for having me on the panel. And I would like to answer your question in four parts. We Most of the supply chain professionals and most of the organizations are not analyzing the spend where it is going. Mostly, it is marketing spends are being monitored, or the capex are being monitored, but the spend analysis in depth is not there. So we need to have a control, and so that we know where we are spending and what is our spend in that regard. Second is, we on the investment decisions which are being taken by the organizations. So with the data available for the past and the future growth which is going to be there in the organization, So you can have a investment decision which is going to be very fruitful in that regard. And you have to have policies to make sure that all the decisions which are being taken improves the bottom line in terms of the spend analysis which is being done. In You have to have a reliable and continuous network of your suppliers, which is sometime in for a short term gain we lose in that regard, but for a long term prospect it is going to be very good for organization if they maintain long term relations with all their business partners. And on the manpower front, the team which are going to be there fit for future or agile team which is a need of the hour now, they should be responsive and they should be able to shift immediately or as the need comes from the market. So that is going to be a constant challenge in terms of manpower, agility of the manpower. And the digitization of the process. Digitization, I mean to say that we don't want to digitize the Excel to the digital format where people put the data in that. No, it's not like that. We have to improve the productivity or increase the remote productivity kind of a thing where you can from anywhere with the available technology in the cloud form, you can able to operate or perform all your operational parameters anywhere you are sitting anywhere in the world.
All right, those are some of the best practices being shared by Sandeep on how to approach, or rather, how to have a data driven approach to your supply chain. And as he said, sometimes we miss the woods for the trees. So, better to also bring in that mindset chain on how you are approaching data and how is that data relevant to the way you work. And taking cue from what Anil said earlier about a data driven approach flowing from the talk, Ashok, let me bring you in. What makes data a unique asset for manufacturers? And in your opinion, how should they incorporate a data driven approach into their daily decision making activities in a meaningful and productive way to reduce costs and maximize output and asset utilization while, say, overcoming challenges of security, accuracy, and legacy architectures? All the points that our co panelists have brought about.
Definitely keeping all the points together. Analytics nowadays becomes a major key factor in management decision making across departments. So, what is recommended for the manufacturing organizations is first to increase the quality of data collection, make a qualitative data mart or data warehouse or a data lake where all the organizational data is merged and collected on a periodic basis. Once the data is collected, then first is we have a reactive analysis. What happened so far in the past 5 years or past 10 years, past 8 years, whichever is relevant, the relevant past. The data has to be collected in the data mart or the data lake up to the relevant past. And then the department should start a what if analysis. And nowadays we have SAP or Oracle based the ERP, where the one truth for the entire organization, where all the data comes merged in one place. So it is relatively easier now to create this particular data bar. And once the what if analysis is done, now we have a reasonable set of data to predict. So the next step should be predictive analytics, that whatever targets are met and whatever targets are set for the next 2 to 5 years, the short and medium term, these targets, how these targets will be met. And for meeting this, what are the relevant parameters, starting from the financial parameters which are required. In line with the financial parameters, the entire supply chain, starting with marketing, market research, market spend, and getting the money from the customers, getting the positive money flow, and then how the money is again sent out of the supply chain, where we pay the suppliers and we pay the employees, we pay for the OPEX, CAPEX, we pay for all the expenses, and then what is left the EBITDA and the PBT. And all these things, the predictive analysis will definitely help in seeing what should be the reality, and if something else is the reality, then how do we adjust the other parameters, the other related parameters where we have to adjust the money flow, how we have to make certain things faster, how we have to reduce the speed of certain things so that the balance of money flow is maintained so that the organization survives. Both profitability and cash flow, both are critical for organization. Once we have a good predictive analysis, the latest set of tools are there for prescriptive analysis, means how to get things done. So we are going a step further on how to get things done favorable for our organization through proper analytics and through proper management decision making. So this is going to be the new way forward, and most of the companies, manufacturing companies, have started adopting at least the predictive analytics. So going forward, after predictive, the prescriptive analysis will also take place, and things are going positively on the data side.
All right, that's a great outline on a data journey from data collection and ensuring that the quality of data is top notch to then using that for predictive analytics and then taking it forward for prescriptive analytics. And I guess that's where the power of the cloud also comes in, especially when it comes to the quality of data, because data can always remain updated. But another aspect that we touched upon earlier was ROI. One of the guests mentioned that. So let me expand on that with KL. KL companies of all sizes, they tend to focus on ROI, and the formula for successful ROI is different for different sized enterprises. And there's also the problem of, say, linking investments in Industry 4.0 technologies to future profitabilities, because many companies, they struggle with the upfront cost, but the cost, as we know, of not adopting may be higher or even fatal. So I want to understand from you, how can the cloud help manufacturing companies develop incremental plans that, say, focus on a critical area such as downtime, with plans to scale the system as results pay for themselves through increased production?
Super. So I have a few points to add to our other esteemed panelist points they brought out. So coming specific to your question, Gautam, so cloud is, as a technology, as a technology enabler, has primarily addressed this problem of investing upfront. For years together, especially this industry which we are all, this is like such a traditional industry and have been existing for centuries. There have been investments which all our customers on this particular panel would have also done over the period of upfront putting something and then reaping the benefits over a period of time. Cloud allows you to do what you want to do at that point in time, and that's what we say is you can start with a pay as you go model, from a typical commercial model, and see what exactly you want to take onto the cloud and start only using for it. For example, you get charged only for what you used, right? So it's like an electricity. If you don't use it for this particular hour of the day, then you don't get charged. The similar is a thing. Unlike the yesteryears where you had to buy heavy equipments, hardware and other things, softwares, and then keep them in running because you have to upfront pay for it, and then of course you will obviously depreciate and amortize those things later. So that's one which the cloud does it. Now what cloud also does, which thanks for all the participants, all the panelists bringing out data as a very important ingredient of success, is the ability to process such a level of data. Now data is so much as spoken by all of them, but it's much beyond what it is. So for example, for one of the customers, for our customers, we are working on saying, while they have a lot of operational data, which is what I spoke about from their ERP, they also probably get some of them from the community and some of their own internal systems like transportation and warehouse management. They're unable to port the data and see what's going to happen. So we are bringing in the Google weather, the Google maps, to see can we actually make the transportation even more intelligent, right? Because that's something which is outside them. That's something which they don't have, and that's where Google power in terms of saying that we can actually give you this data. When you superimpose this data, the results which you get becomes even more intelligent than what you actually have. Of course, your data is very important to us. So I think that's exactly where it's. So when you do this data, the ability to compute such a large amount of data, which keeps growing every second, right? Everything what we do is generating some data. Machineries are generating data. People are generating data. How they collaborate is generating data. All this data has to go into something and then being processed. And then now today the data is democratized. It is not the privilege of the boardrooms anymore. Everyone and every organization wants every employee to have the data at their disposal so that they're able to make intelligent decisions, because they are going to impact the overall thing what like our panelists brought on table. So I think that's where the power of cloud will come in terms of processing that level of data at a speed. And then there are some intelligent AI ML algorithms which we built, which is and continuously learning from many industries within the country, outside the country, and that's what we bring back to the overall world, our learnings from various other industries, various other customers, which enables to bring the smartest way of doing this machine learning, AI and stuff, and it's very updated stuff. So that's what I want to bring of how Google can enable to do this. And you don't have to do any upfront investment. You can choose a very small project to start with and see it meets your expectations. If it is doing, then you can scale up and then keep going and scaling as and when you want, unlike what you did all these years of buying all of them together and then paying upfront for it.
All right, maybe KL, you and Arun could have conversations on around using data for improving, say, transporters' throughputs and making sure that that it's increased.
Yeah, I just like to add a point if I have an opportunity and time there,
Sure.
Gautam. Just want to and a lovely point brought by Sanjeev around mindset. I think that's something which we are seeing, and as Google Cloud, I can always share this with the panelists and offer here that we do something called as, and a lot of customers don't want to buy cloud initially. They want to understand how does a company like Google innovate. So we are into the process of reaching out to a lot of board including the panelists, esteemed panelists here, and their board teams, talking about how we innovate. How does that whole mindset change when you have to become an innovating company from what you've been doing? Those are other things which Google does not from a product what we sell, but something as how we bring our own best practices of how we create teams, how do we hire people, what do we measure, how do we actually promote failure, because promoting failure is actually is innovation. So I think just wanted to share that it's just about products about Google, it's about how we also
Mm.
create. And a lot of customers in India globally are we are engaging with, we get to learn from them and their experiences, and we also share our experiences of how we are growing this business day in and day out. Sorry, just wanted to add that point if that makes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And mindset is a key aspect, and changing it, especially from that ROI perspective, is going to be a challenge. On that note, let me bring you in, Arun. The Indian manufacturing sector, it broadly still has some apprehensions about the benefits of embarking on an end-to-end digital journey, considering the investments needed of time and money. So I want to know from you, how can, say, companies incrementally transform their tech stack so they have the option of focusing on a critical area such as downtime, with plans to scale the system as results pay for themselves through increased productions? You gave us some great examples of how you're using the power of technology, but at the same time, you said that this was also a mindset. You went in all in to use the power of technology to improve yourself. So, from that incremental journey perspectives, any tips that you could offer to our viewers?
There are two part to technology piece. One is OT side of it, second is IT side of it. So in typical manufacturing, uh, any technology, anything, towards the OT side of it, manufacturing technology side of it, if there is something to be done or implemented, the buy-in come very quickly. So what is the reason? The reason is purely that the ROI and the benefits of deploying the technology are being explained or are visible to the people who are taking decision. So where the mindset problem comes is when it comes to the IT side of the technology or implementation of any solution. I think there it is very important for the IT leaders, that rather than talking the technology all the time, they must put their fit into the shoe of the business and understand business and talk the business problems and discuss that how this particular problem or use case can be solved by using this component technology. So to me, I firmly believe, right, that there are three aspects. It's a people, process, and technology. And people come first. Of course, change management is very important. But to me, no technology fails. It always fails because of the change management piece, because it will take buy-in. So, but for us as an organization, we have been lucky enough, the as far as the technology piece is concerned, we have aligned our board, and about four and a half years back, rather than doing in bits and pieces, which we were doing earlier, we sat down and we explained to the entire board why it is important for us as an organization to make a roadmap for the digital transformation. And this cannot be today today there is something, let's deploy it, and then think about something year back, year after year. So we sat down, we made a team of about 60 people, right from top to bottom. We laid down very clear digital transformation roadmap for 3 years, and it was very clearly defined what is to be done in first year, what is to be done in, and even first year also H1, H2, and then year 2, year 3, and that's how we took our journey on this. But within that entire piece, the change management, the buy-in from the board is only possible if you showcase the value add by bringing the technology piece into the process, and that will only happen if we people like us start understanding business, and talk the more business than the technology, so that the people on the other side of the table can understand your language. You talk technology, you talk cloud, you talk cybersecurity. They will listen, but they cannot consume it. So it is very important for you. You understand business and talk that language, talk that business, and so that buying can come. So for us, it's we are very clear on the digital roadmap. We are the cloud first, mobile first, as an organization, right from top to bottom. Everybody is aligned. And in last 11 years, ever since we started company, I don't remember any of the technology project we proposed to the management, and that they have said no to this. Why? Because we never talk technology. We talk, this is a use case, this is a business problem, this is how we're going to solve it, and this is how it is going to benefit you. So that's what our way of doing it. But despite of all that, change management is there. You have to take care of that. Apart from technology and processes piece, people management is very important.
All right. Anil, let me get your thoughts in on this. You earlier mentioned about the guiding principles. I want to hear what conversations are in the boardroom when, say, your CIOs and CFOs come and they talk about new possibilities. Because, when we look at, say, analytics, as Ashok had mentioned, we are currently having predictive analytics, and then it goes into prescriptive analytics. You, Anil, spoke about a data-driven approach. Now, advanced analytics can help manufacturers unearth unseen opportunities to increase production yields. Now, many times they may assume that all possible process improvements have been improved, but suddenly they realize that using data, they can further dig into deeper prospects for improvement. So, and I think you have enterprise-wide analytics deployed at KEI as well to streamline and improve company-wide reporting. So tell us more about how you unlock more value for your business, and how the conversations around ROI of using technology to improve your business have panned out in your company.
In our company, in manufacturing, as I mentioned earlier, we have connected our most of the machines with the devices which has modems, and so the all the devices reflects the productivity and the machine operations at the production head room, and he can monitor the each and every machine sitting in his room. So even in most of the machines, there are systems that in case of any breakdowns, they can be remotely guided for the repair, and the people sitting at the asset level, at the factory level, can do the manual exercise on the guidance of the supplier. Similarly, in the factory, whatever data is generated in terms of production productivity, the relevant information is directly goes to the marketing department and logistics about where the customer orders are, where when they will be ready, when the logistics will happen in terms of truck intakes or the vehicles intakes. So in all these processes, similarly, the marketing department also is aware of where their customers' orders are in queue, and when they will be completed and when they will be dispatched. So so we have done it so far, and all these operations are interconnected. Similarly, most of the designs in the factory are also done in the softwares which do the designing of the parameters of the cables which we manufacture. So the design people have to just enter the data of parameters of the standard specification, and it calculates the electrical parameters as well as the mechanical parameters, and also the consumption of raw materials at each stage of manufacturing. So the, so this gives a transparency to everybody, that what is being done and how is being done. So I hope that this clarifies your point.
Absolutely, and showcases the power of analytics in unlocking value, deeper value, for any enterprise. As it, we've spoken a lot about enterprises and how they can go through that data journey. But what about SME, Sanjeev? How should small manufacturing companies in, say, tier 2, tier 3 cities manage risk and optimize with limited budgets and legacy application footprints? Your thoughts?
Yeah, what I have seen, and as I was sharing earlier also, so there are different tier of industries. Like if a company is making an end product and then they have supplier partners, and typically the company has 30 to 40 supplier partners, and unless until they all become part of the digital ecosystem, then always there are gaps. So somebody is still totally manual, and somebody has has started using the technology. So to bridge this gap, and definitely they have more challenges regarding the usage of resources, etc. So how one can address, and how we have addressed this, like what we do is we do the as coming back to the data. So we do the data analysis, and we find out the concern areas to make this journey interesting. So what are their concern areas? What are the chronic areas, for example, where they have more downtimes, or where they have more inefficiencies, and try to help them in solving those issues using the technologies. For example, I will give you a simple example. There is a visual inspection for different components or different products. So the traditional way is that a person will sit or stand, and he will continue doing those inspections. And this inspecting a product is a fatigue generating exercise. So if a person is doing inspection for 4 hours, 5 hours, definitely in sixth, seventh hour he will start missing some defects. So what we found, that using a visual inspection camera instead of using a person, and connecting that camera with cloud, and using, for example, something like AWS cameras or some other technology cameras, the camera can do that inspection instead of that person, and that camera will gather all the data, and we can put the reference images, that what is good and what is not good, and that will serve the purpose. And it is much more economical, as it was shared that due to cloud there is no fixed investment, it is a variable investment. So you can have as many cameras as you need, and that will help you. There is no fixed investment, the variable cost is much less, and that will eliminate the bottleneck. And these kind of example setting helps the SMEs to overcome the challenges and start using the technology step by step.
All right, let's look at the other side, from SMEs to large global conglomerates. Sandeep, from your standpoint, how can large manufacturing conglomerates with, say, operations spread across the world address friction points in digitizing their global production value chain using the cloud to deliver meaningful value to the enterprise, considering the size, considering the scope of operations? Your thoughts on this?
Uh, the first point which comes again as a human, because every country or every city where you live gives a different flavor of the person in that regard. So each country and each person has his own individuality. So if you come to the data point, then it becomes very easy for understanding. So the large manufacturing companies are more focused on data, they are more customer focused, and their digital transformation is so seamless that you need not to have a face for any individual in that regard. So data speaks for themselves, and they have the reference of all the technology which is available in different part of the world, and they can simulate those kind of technologies to their different locations and the plants. So all this collaborative approach and put together on a on the cloud or on a independent data center kind of a thing gives them a huge advantage in terms of accessibility to the data. It is not that a plant in India cannot access to the plant in US. So the data is available for everyone. So each and every person, if he wants to dig down the data for their own analysis of any problem which they are facing, they can do it. So this is how the friction, the technology has developed a system, or they are helping the people so not to be on their personal egos are being set aside, and they can see the data, and then they can analyze and they can find a solution within that.
All right, the human factor, as always, important, with technology being the augmenting factor. Well, as we head to the last leg of the discussion, let me bring in Ashok to understand how the interplay between, say, manufacturing companies and technology providers could change in terms of determining the value that technology brings to the table in solving enterprise problems of today and tomorrow. And I'll add in security as one of the aspects there as well. Ashok, your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. So, with respect to security, as of now, either on the cloud or on premise, there have been a set of security tools and techniques which have been globally approved and globally certified as well. So, most of the security issues have been taken care, and global standards are being met by most of the technology service providers as well. And with respect to the integration and with respect to getting the benefits from the point of view of the CFO, the CEO, and the stakeholders, the shareholders, and the promoters, the heads, where the technology companies now have to also go through the route of, say, increasing the ROI or reducing the TCO, or taking care of any specific financial impact, like improving the top line or improving the bottom line, or reducing or eliminating waste, and the calculations again point out to an increase in ROI or reducing the TCO. We have a lot of tools also today in the market, and a lot of analysis has also been done from the customer side, that is the manufacturing and the other service organization side also. So what the technology companies now need to do is, number one is, the latest one is split the waterfall type of projects to the agile or the scrum mode, where each project takes a few days to few months to complete, and we can necessarily get the increase in ROI, the reduction in TCO, or any other financial goal which is set, which can be met by the technology organization. So in this way, that is one way, the waterfall being replaced by the agile or the scrum methodology, splitting bigger projects into smaller goals and also proving the achievement of smaller goals to go ahead successfully. And the other aspect is also that there should be a synergy between both organizations. There should be a win-win situation, because again, technology comes with a specific cost, and when the customer organization is shelling out that much of a cost, then the justification has to be approved in the highest level that this cost will result in such a type of a benefit. So by doing both these things, the synergy is increased, and more projects will get rolled out, and more turnover of technology will also happen, and technological improvement and mutual win-win situations also will take place successfully.
All right, a message on how technology partners and manufacturing enterprises can synergize in a better way. And KL, where have we heard that before? Increase ROI, reduce TCO. I'm sure you've heard it many times. But as we look to wrap up the conversation, while many manufacturers, they've already invested in digitization, tech like digital twins or iterative manufacturing, they show promise, but they are far from wide adoption rather. So I want to know from you, what can Google Cloud do to enable manufacturing companies in India to take advantage of these technologies?
So as Google Cloud, we are already engaged with multiple industry sectors. When I look at manufacturing and even others, right? So especially manufacturing, where digital twins, and especially if you talk about which are more hazardous, I would say in terms of day-to-day operations like oil and gas rigs and all those things, we are in very active discussions with organizations of that nature where digital twin has been very strongly explored. As I said, hazardous by itself becomes a very important need for the customers to look at is if digital twins can happen, and there are situations where there are loss of human lives. I think that's one which we're seeing. Surely, when we look at other things in the non-situation, non-hazardous, or I would say typical manufacturing solutions, we're looking at some of this coming to the edge. And I think somewhere we brought out about the tier two, tier three cities. I think one thing which I think Sanjeev also probably touched upon, the gap which is there in the country is about a lot of them. We are a manufacturing nation, we are spread across the country, and today as a country, reaching the last mile is also difficult. So a lot of them want to do a lot of data processing and analytics at the edge. So Google Cloud is working with a lot of customers. Actually, some of them we will be rolling out some names in the new due course, where we're talking and bringing their old machinery, as I think someone brought out their old machineries of various kinds been invested over years, get their data into their factory within their zone, analyze all that, do the analytics there, and and only take what is required to the control plane back into the cloud for any other data processing further. We can also ingest AI/ML models into the edge within the customer's manufacturing location, so that they can start using that and do local analytics rather than taking all the way everything to the cloud. Because in your tier two, tier three cities, networks are not so strong to carry so much of data, and that itself will create a bottleneck in what you're envisaging to achieve as a company. Of course, I mean, the big change which will happen in the country is when the 5G gets rolled out. There's a lot of things which is promising around the technology when it gets rolled out to the edge, and there'll be a lot of intelligent things will happen at the edge. So just to summarize this, Google Cloud is already working with a lot of customers on the digital twin, especially in, as I said, some of the industries which need it very immediately. But we are also trying to create a lot of manufacturing customers say, can you give it at edge, because I don't have the capability to increase my bandwidth and go back and all those things. That's another thing. And I just want to add one point to what in the tier two cities, if I may just in with the cloud, any cloud provider, it also becomes easy for any small medium enterprise to become global. Of course, large anyway are global. So today with India and we have been promoting ourselves to go global ourselves, to think manufacture from India and go outside. With cloud, you don't have to think twice of setting up anything, because it's just a matter of minutes to decide. All the players are global, and you could just go, and Google Cloud is global. You want to start something in the western part of the world, eastern part of the world, you can just go start as we will be starting something in India. So I think that's another advantage of what cloud brings in today for all our manufacturing customers, large, small, medium.
All right, lots of possibilities to be imagined, lots of value to be unlocked, and it's not mission impossible, and it can be mission accomplished using the power of the cloud and technology. On that note, it's time to conclude this conversation around Industry 4.0 and where we are headed. I'd like to thank all of our panelists for sharing their insights on the topic as part of Money Control Innovation Next, presented by Google Cloud. And of course, a special thanks to our viewers for tuning in. Till next time, this is Gautam Srinivasan signing off. Have a great day.